Is this actually the record or the pop record that you guys always threatened to make? Quote I read in an interview.
I could see. Cedric keeps saying that. I could see how it's that, because it's much closer maybe to that sort of format. I mean, it's much closer to just the initial intent of a song. You know, all my songs start off as the initial structure of any song, like a pop structure: verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. You know, and then eventually I start messing with it and taking out parts and adding parts. And when I made this record, I restrained myself a lot, and I let it be the original intent, the very first version, really. You know, and that was the fun of this record. You know, and so now I'm off on another tangent, and now I do something else, and then maybe someday in the future I refine it even more, and maybe I actually do make an actual pop record someday. I don't know, you know.
I was actually wondering about that, because I mean, you can write killer choruses and hooks and stuff that really listen to it once, so you'll keep singing on it for like 10 years. Could you actually do that? Write a song, a pop song, 2.5 minutes long, with a proper intro, a break, middle, eight, and end?
Yeah, I think I could. I mean, I've done it before just for fun, like as a joke. What happens usually to me is, like, I hear it and it doesn't sound good to me. You know, so I have to, like, you know, rethink it or something. But I think at some point it will sound good to me. That's just the way things work. You know, we are constantly changing as people. So I think at some point, you know, like Octahedron, on my records before it, I'd done so much experimenting and so many different types of records that when I got to Octahedron, it felt really good to, again, have the original intent and not mess with it too much, you know. And so maybe now I go off on a tangent and I experiment even more, and at some point it will feel really, really good to just, you know, to really refine something and craft something to the point of pure polished, you know. I don't know. I don't feel that way now, but I could see how I might feel that way in the future, you know.
There's a song on it called Copernicus.
Yeah.
Did you write a song about him, or about the phenomenon, or about...
No. I think that was just the title of the song. I think Cedric really liked that word and maybe the subject matter, but no, the song itself had really nothing to do with it.
How does that work? 'Cause, I mean, it sounds great, of course, but is it just poetry, or does the word have to be cool or fit into everything, and doesn't it have any meaning, or is that up to the listener?
It's up to the listener. It's just instinct and how do you say it in English? Craving. Yeah. You know, it's instinct and craving. Again, I think a lot of people think that there's a high level of intellect that goes into making our music and our titles, and it really has nothing to do with that. You know what I mean?
It's serious.
Yeah. It's mostly like what you said. If it sounds great, if it looks great, you use it. If it makes you feel great, you use it. When I write my music, if it makes me feel good, I use it. And if I see a word written somewhere, if I'm walking around or in a comic book or in a very interesting book, if you see a word and it strikes out to you, you know, then it sticks out to you and it's striking, then you write it down and you end up using it, you know. And then later you go, oh shit, what does it mean? And you look up and you learn, you know. But I think everything for me is instinct and just what that first impression is. You know, I buy a lot of records when I go into a record store because I just like the cover. I don't know the band, but I like the artwork, and I go, oh, that makes me feel a certain way, I'll buy it. And 9 times out of 10, the music's usually good. Not always, but 9 times out of 10, the music's usually good because I rely very much on my instinct, you know. And I think intellectualizing something is not only boring, but I think it's when you're in the process, it would be very boring and very detrimental. I think intellectualizing things come afterwards. They come in retrospect. You know, later I go, oh, wait, what did it mean when I was there? Oh, okay, I see. Maybe this is what I was feeling. You know, in the same way that we do therapy, you know, and we talk about the past, and then new things come up, you know.
What do you think of the Aphex Twin?
Of the what?
The Aphex Twin?
The group, the
guy, the single, the producer.
Yeah, Richard D. James. Yeah, I think he's great. I think he's amazing. I think he's unparalleled. Besides maybe Aaron Funk, who makes records under Venetian Snares. I think he's another great person. You know.
It's not an influence, because suddenly I see he works the same with words, and I see this link probably not existing.
Oh, he does. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, he's definitely a huge influence, and I could see by hearing their music how maybe a lot of it is, again, instinct for them, because it sounds so pure to me. You know, it sounds so much like a part of what I picture them being, you know, as people, even though I've never met them. It sounds like something about their insides, you know.
Delve into your history, of course. I've been following you guys since you started off, basically, and way before that too. You guys have a history of using a lot of drugs, then you kicked the habit. Are you still sober? Or you don't use drugs, or?
Yeah, no, I do. I don't use drugs. I don't smoke pot. I don't. I don't drink. I think a lot of people perceive that, maybe. And a big part of it is because of the history of drug use, and another big part of it is because they think of my music as out there and all this, and so they think that you have to be on some sort of drug to make this kind of music.
Well, you wrote a song like Halo of Nebutols.
Nebutols, yeah.
So I delved into that as well.
Right.
But that has nothing to do with you guys.
Right. No, I mean that's the past. I mean, in the past, when I was a kid, from 15 to 23 or 24, whenever it was that I was at the drive-in, I did every drug you could do and every pill and everything else. So of course that's part of your experience, and you take that as inspiration or moments or what you've learned since then.
Yeah.
But when I started this band, I was sobering up, I was getting off drugs, and I had a whole new vision of what I wanted my life to be like and what I wanted my music to be like, and that's the vision that I've been following ever since.
You are working on a movie about the band, right? Is that true? 'Cause you were really reflecting on the past.
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly editing the material because I've filmed the band, its growth since the beginning. Since I started it, I filmed when I asked Ike to join the band, when I asked people to join the band, our first rehearsals. I filmed concerts. I filmed all the way up until, today. I filmed little pieces. And so what happens is that you have to constantly be working on it, or else you're going to have, 10 years of footage and you're going to be overwhelmed.
So you're editing down while the process is doing?
I'm editing down the process of doing, but I'm not thinking of it yet as I'm putting together a film yet. I don't think of it on that. I just think of it as I'm working on it by narrowing down material, again, so that I'm not overwhelmed when it comes time to work on it. I just think the film maybe is something that I'll want to work on once the band is over, Then it'll be a reflection on what the band was,
You guys experienced a lot of stuff, extreme stuff, friends dying, weird stuff with Ouija boards.
Yeah, that's again why a lot of the material has to be edited down, is because there's so much in the history of the band, and so much things, so many personal, amazing and incredible and tragic things that have happened, that it's sort of, there's a lot going on. I've had a very chaotic life, an incredible life, and so and so you try and refine it and just sort of get to the heart of the matter, to be able to one day eventually tell a story,